Okie dokie, guys. We are going to be doing the Beast talents today for Warcraft Rumble. It's the last of the talent series, so if you'd like to look at any of the other factions, links are all in the description below. I've got Alliance, I have Horde, Blackrock, and Undead already done. There's a bit of discussion in all of those. There are some very clear talents that are good, and then some that are a bit more sort of like between two. I may end up updating these talent videos when we get closer to release because things might change. But for now, this is some relatively good advice. I would say that isn't, look, this is my personal opinion. Other people will have different opinions. I already have seen some different opinions on talents like from the Undead video. For instance, the extra range on the Meat Wagon is much more useful in PvE. So, there's lots of different things that can happen in terms of talents. But best of my opinion, I would say that like at least 80% of the talent recommendations I'm making are good. Maybe 20% you'll find some people contest either or. But end of the day, it's pretty solid advice. You can't go too far wrong with the talents that I'm suggesting. So we'll start off, as I usually do, by going through the beasts that I have in the deck, and then we'll go through the units, and then we'll go through the leaders. Here is a very interesting one. Harpies. One of the best units in the game. Outright, one of the best units in the game. I think has the highest DPS in the game out of any unit. And all talents are good. Now, this is where I can't recommend a single talent for you that's going to be amazing. If you're interested in primarily boss killing PvE progression, so killing bosses, cheesing your way through certain PvE maps, then Infectious Swipes is the best. Poison Harpies in PvE, especially if you're able to get them onto the boss, shred through high HP targets. So they're very, very good for PvE progression. Trinket Collectors increase the cost by 1, but grant you the miner trait. They mine much quicker than a kobold, and they can very quickly dominate gold mines in both PvP and PvE. They are still good for PvE, generating a huge amount of gold income by dominating gold mines, and then also still being a useful aerial unit is very good. And so I went for Trinket Collectors because of the widespread utility. However, they do make the Harpies for gold, which makes them a little bit more cumbersome in some decks in terms of gold value. And Talon Dive, deal double damage on the first attack. That is probably the least useful of the talents, only because Harpies very often, especially in PvP, get killed before they're able to land an attack at all. Which is why I quite like the gold collector side of it, because you have to deal with Harpies, but also collecting gold at the same time gives them some utility. However, double damage on the first attack is great for PvP, really good for taking out particularly annoying units, especially if you're going to run them alongside some kind of stealth mechanic like Smoke Bomb. Very, very good. All talents good, but I would say, for the most part, recommend either Infectious Swipes or Trinket Collector, depending on what you want the Harpies to do for you. Billball. Deal a smaller amount of damage to melee attackers is okay, but I wouldn't say it's a massive amount. I'd love there to be videos for talents so you can see exactly how much damage they do. One of the big mistakes that I made early on is going for talents that I thought sounded good on paper, but in practice just really fucking sucked. Like the Dark Iron Miner, laying mines once it's mined gold. The mines do no damage, 0 damage, negative damage, and it's a useless talent. Tunnel Vision deploy much more quickly. It's interesting. It does deploy a significant amount more quickly. I think someone posted a video on the Discord where it showed, I may even try and find it for the video. It showed getting at least 1.5 to 2 hits off more quickly by unburrowing much more quickly. But then also inflict poison on nearby enemies when emerging is good as well, especially for burning down low HP targets in a squad. That can be really useful. I think it's between Tunnel Vision and Bramble Burst. Tunnel Vision means it gets into the field much more quickly. It starts hitting things much more quickly. Bramble Burst has its uses at dealing poison damage to especially lower HP targets in one little burst. So between Tunnel Vision and Bramble Burst, but I just went for Tunnel Vision to give me the slightly quicker deploy, which I think is quite useful. Vultures. I had no idea what to go for Vultures when I got the talent. Attacking dazes enemies for 3 seconds. The flock gains Bloodlust for 5 seconds when spawning a new vulture. And all additional vultures spawn at your base. Well, I think all additional vultures spawning at your base is a bit meh, because ultimately that's probably not where you're going to need them. So it's really between dazing and also gaining Bloodlust. Now, gaining Bloodlust snowballs very quickly, so you can build up a lot of vultures in a very, very quick period of time. But these units are not particularly good. They are like a really just a crap version of harpies. And so I think giving some utility to them is probably better. So going for dazing, it's a 1 cost to daze at that point. You know, if you get these onto a tanky target like Abomination, you make them really slow. So I just think Tendon Rip's very likely the better talent. I went for Feeding Frenzy. I kind of regret it now because I don't use vultures anyway. Can be useful. Feeding Frenzy can definitely allow you to snowball vultures, you know, into a semi-useful unit. But I think if you give them Tendon Rip, they're just going to be better overall. Okay. Raptors. On hit kill, heal a small amount of damage, gain Bloodlust when a chest or gold vein is nearby, or strength in numbers. Personally, Raptors are all about spamming Raptors, so gaining 10% more damage for each other Raptor nearby, kind of nutty if you're able to build that big Raptor spam up. So I went for strength in numbers. Fast food is kind of meh, the healing isn't very high, and gain Bloodlust when a chest or gold vein is nearby. Well, it's so situational, and it's so map dependent as well, that I just think strength in numbers is much more effective and much more useful. Gain +2 range, deploy with 1 additional Murloc, or deploy a safety bubble that blocks the first attack. I quite like safety bubble. It basically doubles the HP at like minimum doubles the HP, you know, of your Murlocs. Can help deal with spells like Zap. It can help deal with the first glaive bounce from a Huntress while you deal with her. Just safety bubble, in my opinion, just makes Murloc Tidehunters much stickier, which is, you know, nice because they're 2 gold and they're very easy to kill. Right. Deal siege damage, gain armor, or reduce deploy cost by 1 and gain the cycle trait. So, honestly, for me, very situational. Now, Thick Hide is nice because Nullbro is basically a tank, so giving it armored is quite a nice way to sort of double its HP pool versus physical damage, of course. Dealing siege damage to me isn't that important. Obviously makes it good versus towers, but this is not like Frostwolf Raider. This is still going to have to get through enemy minis to get to the towers, so for me, very situational and not actually that good. I quite like Rabid. It reduces the deploy cost by 1 and grants it the cycle trait. So you've now got a 2 gold Null Brute, really cheap, the same as Bristleback, and in my opinion, especially for low cost Hogger decks, really Null Brute is only ran in Hogger decks. You want to cycle to Hogger as much as possible. So I think that just makes this unit is designed to go into Hogger decks, and having an extra cycle unit in a Hogger deck, you're basically granting 33% extra value from this unit by reducing the cost by 1. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Though Thick Hide is also pretty decent. Grants 30% additional damage when Beast Allies. So grants Beast Allies 30% additional damage. Very situational, depends on how many beasts you've got near it in its deck. Deal double damage to enemies who are more than 75% health. 1 or 2 hits you're going to deal double damage with, maximum, most of the time, unless it's versus a tank. Gain stealth and stun the target when attacking from stealth. That's the best one. Anybody that runs this this unit will know that having stealth, charging the first unit and attacking from stealth and granting a stun makes it the best talent. So on the Prowl, definitely the best talent for Prowler. Angry Chickens. This was a difficult one for me as well. Now, Fury, to me, not that important because they're very easy to kill with certain spells and AoE, so they die pretty much instantly. This to me, Fury is like a win more talent for this particular unit. These are kind of tank killers. These are designed to deal with single target tanks like Stonehoof Tauren, for instance. Gaining Fury is just a win more situation. Like, you're going to attack it quicker and deal more damage quicker, but you already deal with those targets, and you know. And by gaining Fury, you're not gaining anything useful other than just killing it slightly more quickly. You know, if they're able to deal with your units, they're going to deal with them whether you have Fury or not. Nearby Beast Allies can consume a chicken to heal themselves. Again, it's so situational to Beast decks, and I'm sure these Beast-focused talents will eventually become useful when people start, you know, people think about running full Beast decks, but right now that's not apparent. And so, yeah, we're yet to see someone combine all of the Beast decks and form the trinity, the holy grail of beast decks. What is it called? Exodia. We're yet to see someone form the Exodia beast deck with all the beast talents. Walking Crate is basically like Bubble for Murloc Tidehunters. So deploy in a protective crate and when destroyed, the chickens emerge. It stops people from using Zap to clean up all your chickens. They have to commit more than just a single spell or a single hit to get the chickens down. So I just like Walking Crate. It's just, again, like a Bubble for the Murloc Tidehunters. It's quite nice. Polymorph. I can buy a talent and I haven't decided on it yet. Killing a sheep damages nearby enemies. Usually all of them are going to be sheep once you've used Polymorph. So frankly, I don't think that's that important. It lasts twice as long, but sheep regenerate health very quickly. I'm not sure I love that. One sheep becomes golden and killing it grants 1 gold. It essentially makes this spell cost 2, which I think overall is the best talent. So I'm probably going to opt for Golden Fleece. I don't think that killing sheep damaging nearby enemies is that good. I mean, again, you're usually using Polymorph on a massive group of enemies to get value out of it, and there's very unlikely going to be more enemies nearby. And sheeps generally are just easy to kill, as you'll see. Yeah, they're vulnerable, and stripping them of their defenses, so they're easier to kill in this situation anyway. It can be good, obviously, to blow up all the sheep in one go, so I guess, you know, it would kind of make it like a mini living bomb. So, you know, there's probably some value out of exploding sheep, but I think Golden Fleece for me is usually just the one that's going to get you value consistently. Like, you should be able to kill the golden one, you get a gold back. That can be really useful. Spiders. I haven't even bought spiders for any rarity yet. Explode on death, poisoning nearby enemies. Gain frost, deal twice as much poison damage. Personally, it's between Bloated Carapace and Envenom. These aren't very good units anyway. Not many decks would run spiders. They kind of do a similar thing to chickens and harpies, is that they're primarily a tank killer. They poison on hit anyway, but dealing twice as much poison damage is probably the best in terms of single target. But obviously, if you're using spiders for more of like a AoE landmine type thing, then poisoning nearby enemies could be good, but it's only poisoning them, it's not dealing damage to them, and so you're not guaranteed to actually kill off units. Frankly, if I were going to run something to blow up nearby enemies, I would just run whelp eggs with the exploding upon hatching talent, which is just going to be far more effective. So I think probably Envenom, for what spiders are designed to do, it just makes them better at that particular job. Again, they are cheap, only 2 gold. As most beast units are, they are designed to cycle, so they're supposed to go into cycle decks. And that brings us quite nicely onto the leaders. So, spoiled meat gain poison. Well, not necessarily that important, because frankly, Hogger is designed to cycle up and increases damage anyway. On death, bloodlust nearby beasts. Again, until someone forms the Exodia beast deck, I just don't think we're going to see it. The problem with running like an Exodia beast deck is all it takes is someone to have Blizzard in their deck, and then you just suck, because most beasts have very low HP, are very easily dealt with AoE spells. So that's why I just don't think we're going to see an Exodia beast deck, because frankly, most people have the way of dealing with it through spells. You know, most people run Blizzard as a major control spell in control decks, and that probably deals with the majority of these like beast close synergies. Hogger also gains 10% max health each time he's played. To me, that's a no-brainer. You're cycling Hogger, 10% max health every time you play him. It's a massive increase, especially if you're cycling him up to 4 or 5 times in a match. So that's my personal viewpoint on Hogger. Second, if I can get on to Chalga. So, deploy cost reduced by 1. That makes Chalga, I think, go down to 1. So she becomes obviously extremely cheap. Minis played for 5 gold. Gain a level and deploy in stealth. That's actually obviously like completely random because of Chalga's spirit link ability. But if you can somehow get like, I don't know, like a gargoyle out at 5 gold for stealth, like that can be really, really powerful. But personally, to me, the overall winner is Nature's Grasp. Root 2 additional nearby enemies, but deal half damage. Chalga doesn't exactly deal a huge amount of damage anyway. She is designed to either stall in a lane, or she's designed to just, you know, hold units up for you to be able to kill them. So I think rooting 2 additional nearby enemies to me is the best talent for Chalga. And then we have Old Murkai. Tide Hunters spawn at Old Murkai's location instead. Don't like that simply because it just makes Old Murkai and Tide Hunters more vulnerable to an AoE spell, and also the benefit of Tide Hunters is they run down different lanes, pressuring different lanes, picking up meeting stones, killing off kobolds, whatever. March of the Murlocs lasts an additional 5 seconds longer after deploying. I initially thought that that might be okay. The only reason I've kind of gone back on that now is that most people usually go, Old Murkai, spend all of their gold, get as many Murlocs down as physically possible. And then, unless you're about to hit the payload on a chest or you're about to hit the payload on some gold mines, you're probably not going to get a huge amount of extra value out of 5 seconds. If you're just waiting for natural gold generation, you're probably only going to get another 2 gold or 3 gold out of that. So, yeah, I think it's good, but personally, I just think attacks briefly stunning enemies is better just for utility's sake. The reason I like that is because a stun will reset the attack animation of a lot of long wind-up attacking enemies. Like Drake, for instance, with a 2.5 second stun. So if you have an Old Murkai versus a Drake, and it is just stunning the Drake every single time, the Drake will never cast and will never use its ability or its attack. So you're basically going to sort of trade up versus very long wind-up attack speed enemies. And that's my viewpoint on Old Murkai. People may disagree with me, but that's the way it is. And that is all of the beast talents. Not as many as some of the other leaders, but hopefully you have enough information here to make some decisions about your beast units. Again, all of the other factions in the description below, and I will see you very soon.